All right, today we are jumping into a short, but wow, incredibly powerful story by Ernest Hemingway called Soldier's Home. It's a classic for a reason. It gets right to the heart of that silent, tough struggle of a soldier coming home from war to a world that just doesn't feel right anymore. So let's get into it.
And really, this question is the whole thing. It's the engine driving the entire story. It's all about that huge, gaping chasm between what war is actually like and what people back home think it's like. For a soldier, that gap can feel impossible to cross.
So let's set the scene. Our main character, a guy named Harold Krebs, finally makes it back to his small town in Oklahoma. But there's a problem. His timing is just terrible. Think about it. All the big parades, the cheering crowds, that first wave of thank you for your service, he missed all of it. By the time he gets home, the town's kind of moved on. He shows up and he's basically an afterthought, which right away sets him up for feeling completely and utterly alone. So instead of jumping back into his old life, Krebs just drifts. He falls into this repetitive, aimless loop. And you gotta understand, this isn't him being lazy. This is a symptom of something much deeper. He's physically home, sure, but his mind and his spirit are somewhere else entirely, just watching life from the sidelines. Okay, so that's the external situation, but what's going on inside Krebs' head is where things get really dark. This is where we get to what Hemingway calls the sickness of lies. And here's the painful, twisted irony of his situation. When he first got back, he couldn't talk about the war. The memories were just too fresh, too raw. But then, by the time he felt like he could talk, nobody wanted to listen anymore. They were over it. They didn't want the messy, complicated truth. They just wanted simple, heroic fables. So what does he do? He's stuck. He starts making things up. He polishes his stories, borrows things he heard from other soldiers, anything to just get a reaction, to feel like people see him. But every lie is like a little bit of poison, and it starts to eat away at him until he can't stand the sound of his own voice. This just lays out the disconnect perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have society's neat little checklist for a returning hero. Get a job, find a girl, settle down. Simple. But on the other side is what Krebs actually wants. He's craving a life with zero complications, no pressure, no expectations, and most importantly, no more lies. So if you're just looking at Krebs's actions, you might think, what is this guy's deal? He seems cold, apathetic, like he's pushing everyone away. But to really get what's going on with him, you have to look deeper. The key to figuring Krebs out isn't in what he says. It's in everything he doesn't say. And this all comes down to a signature technique that Hemingway absolutely perfected. And here it is, the iceberg theory. You've probably heard of it. The idea is that the real strength of a story is the part you don't see. Hemingway gives you the tip of the iceberg, the simple facts, the straightforward dialogue, but the vast, heavy, powerful meaning is all submerged. He makes us, the reader, feel the weight of what's being left unsaid. So if we apply this to Krebs, suddenly it all clicks into place. All of his flat, unemotional comments are just the tip of this massive iceberg of trauma. His lack of interest in girls isn't really about them at all. It's a deep-seated fear that any relationship will require more work, more expectations, and, you guessed it, more lies. It's all just too much. All of that hidden weight, all that trauma bubbling just below the surface, it has to erupt at some point. And it does. It happens in the story's emotional climax, during this absolutely gut-wrenching conversation with his mother. Man, this moment is just brutal. For one split second, he tells the raw, unfiltered truth. He says he doesn't love her. He can't feel it anymore. But the second he sees the pain it causes her, he can't stand it. So he retreats right back into the one thing he hates, another lie. He's completely trapped between a truth that destroys and a lie that poisons. So after that absolutely shattering moment with his mother, Krebs hits a breaking point. He knows he can't live in this world of complicated feelings and expectations anymore. He has to do something. And his solution isn't to try and fix things. It's to escape. He decides he's going to Kansas City, to start over. He's hoping that if he goes to a place where nobody knows him, nobody has any expectations, he can finally live that simple life he's been dreaming of. And that decision to leave really makes sense when you see how all these forces have been bearing down on him. It's like a chain reaction.
The war trauma leads him to suppress his emotions. That suppression forces him to lie to get by. And the whole time, he's choking under the pressure of what society thinks a man and a hero is supposed to be. And this, right here, is the ultimate tragedy of the story. The lies didn't just push his family away, they ended up destroying his own memories. His real, authentic experiences in the war got so mixed up with the fiction that eventually he lost the one thing that was truly his own.
Which leaves us with a big question to think about. Hemingway wrote this about a soldier from World War I, but it feels like it could have been written yesterday. The themes of alienation, of the difficult journey home, they're timeless. And it forces us to ask, a century later, have we gotten any better at bridging that gap between the battlefield and the front porch?